Hello and welcome to Shakespeare Week. Now you might be wondering, who is William Shakespeare and why does he deserve a whole week? Well, to start, this is Shakespeare. Also, this is Shakespeare. As you might gather from seeing him, Shakespeare was a man who lived a long time ago. He was born in 1564. Shakespeare didn't have cameras or photographs, so all we have are these engravings and paintings. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon. He wasn't a noble or a king, he was a regular person. His father was important in the little town, but other than that, wasn't really much. So why do we still know him today? Well, Shakespeare grew up to write some of the most important works of literature in the English language. Shakespeare, unlike a lot of people in those days, actually went to school. He wrote about that in one of his plays, saying that a schoolboy creeps like snail unwillingly to school, which I'm sure a lot of school children these days can understand. Shakespeare didn't learn mathematics or history or any of the other subjects we might learn today. Instead, he learnt Latin, the language of the ancient Romans, and rhetoric, the art of speaking well. Both of these would come in useful later in his life. Shakespeare married a local girl called Anne Hathaway and had 3 children with her. Sometime after this, he moved to London, the biggest city in the world at that point. It was a bustling metropolis, full of people, and Shakespeare became an actor. Shakespeare was known as a great comedian, and also from playing regal, kingly roles. But more important than this, Shakespeare wrote plays. He wrote 39 plays that we know of, and also many poems. He wrote 154 sonnets, which are short poems, and 3 long poems, which tell big stories. Shakespeare performed with a group of actors called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, and he also founded a theatre called the Globe. Shakespeare was so popular, he was asked to perform before Queen Elizabeth I and later King James. King James liked Shakespeare's company so much that he gave them his royal warrant, and they changed their name to the King's Men. Shakespeare lived until he was in his 50s, but unfortunately fell sick and died on April 23rd, 1616, which was also his birthday. But why, if this fellow wrote some plays a long time ago, are we still reading them? Sure, King James liked them, but what about us? Well, the thing is, the poetry of Shakespeare is some of the best. He writes about revenge, about anger, about hatred, but also about love, about joy, about simple things and foolishness. He writes great speeches, but also witty banter. Shakespeare's heroes aren't cut and dry heroes. They often do very, very bad things out of a mistake or a trick, like when Claudio and Don Pedro accuse Hero of infidelity because they are tricked by the wicked Don John, or when the heroic Othello is turned to hate his wife because of the trickery of Iago. Likewise, Shakespeare's villains aren't just mean, nasty people. They're often sympathetic. We like them. They're clever and cunning, but also wicked. But often they have a reason for this. Like Edmund, the villain of King Lear, who is discriminated against for his birth and so turns against the world. or the tragic villain Macbeth, who seems to be the main character of his play, despite being a cruel and evil king. All of these things come together to make Shakespeare's writing some of the greatest writing ever made. This is why Shakespeare Week exists, because we still read his plays 400 years after his death. Now come with us on a journey to explore more about William Shakespeare by tuning in tomorrow for our next video.